Hello, and welcome to this demonstration of the DocZone cloud solution for book publishing. Let's log into the DocZone system, and we'll navigate to a new folder that we're setting up to import a new book. As you can see, it's an empty folder at this point, and we are about to import a new manuscript from an author for a new publication called Alice in Wonderland. We'll browse our desktop, find the Word manuscript. We will add the appropriate metadata, a description, a comment, the author's name, and we will add this document to the repository. Once the Word manuscript has been imported into DocZone, we can then set up an automated editorial workflow by a couple of simple clicks in the system. This will bring up a wizard. We will select the appropriate editorial review workflow template, and we will fill in the details of the project. The description is the name of the manuscript. We'll set a priority level, assign a due date, and then we'll select the editor that we would like to review this manuscript. We're going to enter in the name of the editor we want to use. It will browse the repository, provide the correct username. We'll click on OK to select Paul as our editor, and now all of the details of the project have been filled in. By clicking the Finish button, we have just launched a workflow in DocZone. If we go to our dashboard, we'll see that we have just completed the task of assigning the review process. Let's log out as Dan in my role as managing editor, and we'll check the email of Paul Gomez to see that a new message has appeared in the inbox. Paul sees the new email and reads it to see that there's a task waiting for him in DocZone to review a new manuscript for Alice in Wonderland. He goes to the DocZone login, enters his user credentials, and logs into the system. Upon login, he sees that there's a new task waiting for him on his dashboard to review the content for Alice in Wonderland. He clicks on the action icon to manage the task, and as you can see, all of the details of the project that were filled in the wizard are now appearing on Paul's screen, including a history of what's happened in the project so far. He clicks on the icon to download the document into his local copy of Word. And the file opens up on his desktop. Paul will turn the review features of Word on to track the changes that he's making, and we'll make a couple of small minor edits here. Once Paul's done with his edits, he can save the Word document. You'll notice the name has added an edit to the appended to the back of the file name. And once he closes the document, you'll see that there's automatically a lock in it from DocZone. We check in the document to store the new version of the Word manuscript with Paul's edits into the repository. We'll store the local copy that he's been editing. We'll select the renamed document with the edit at the end. And then we will check in the document into DocZone. Paul's work is now done. The review is completed. He's going to add a minor comment to send back to Dan, the managing editor. And then he will click on the Review Completed button. And on the dashboard, you'll see that his task has now been moved to the Completed Task section. We can log out as Paul, and now we will log back in as Dan, the managing editor, to review the edits that were made by Paul. Dan logs in and sees that there is a new task to do to approve the edited version of the manuscript. When we review the task, you'll see at the bottom that the workflow history has been updated to show Paul's edits. Dan will now download the latest version of the manuscript into his own Word editing tool. Notice the file name has a -1 at the end now. And once again, we will this time just accept all of the changes that were made. And we will save the final version of the Word manuscript and close Word. Once again, the file has been locked. This is to prevent concurrent updates to the same file. So now we will add some notes to say that this is the final approved version of the manuscript. We will once again upload the local copy and check in this final version of the Word manuscript into DocZone. Now the review is approved. There are no more tasks to do in this project. Now that the Word manuscript is finalized and complete, we can automatically convert this document to XML in order to enable multi-channel publishing of this content. We will click on the icon to convert the document from Word to XML. And when we refresh the screen, we will see that we have some new folders that have been created and a bookmap file, which has been also assembled. Let's review. Let's open the components folder that has been created, and you will see that each chapter of the Alice in Wonderland manuscript has been turned into a separate XML file, and any images that were in the Word document have automatically been imported into the repository. This is a low-res image of Alice chasing the rabbit down the rabbit hole. For a print version, we might want to substitute a high-res version, and DocZone supports image variants just to support this particular use case. So we will add a high-res version of the same image, and once it loads into the system, we can add that as a variant. What this means is that anytime you link to this image and publish to a high-resolution output, it will now substitute this image instead. Because DocZone also supports multiple languages, you can also set up variants for different locales. In this case, we're going to import a low-res version of the same image in an anime cartoon and utilize that for the Japanese market. So we'll select Japanese as the target language and add that variant. Now when we publish an ebook in Japanese, it will automatically substitute this image. Now we're going to import the cover art. We'll select the appropriate image, add the metadata that's necessary, and now all of the artwork that we'll need for this demo book is completed. The final step before we can publish the book is to set up the front matter. We will go to a generic template of the cover. We will copy that to our system clipboard, go back to the Alice in Wonderland book folder, and we will paste the cover XML file. Now we can open up the embedded editor to be able to modify the XML content and include the image that we recently imported for the cover art. Once the XML editor is loaded, we can go to the right location, Click on the icon to add an image, navigate to the image folder, and select the front matter image that we recently imported. When we click on Insert File, the image appears right inside of the XML document. Now we'll go and modify the book title and the author's name before we save. Once we're done making our changes, we can save, exit, and once again, the file has been locked, so we need to check in this updated version. We'll add a quick note, click on the check-in button, and this file is now ready to go. I pointed out earlier that the converter tool automatically created a bookmap file. A bookmap is nothing more than an interactive table of contents that has links to each of the individual XML chapters that I showed you before. Now we're going to insert a cover reference to add a link to the new cover XML file we just created. We can drag and drop that into the bookmap and place it in the appropriate location. Once our XML book is set, we can save and exit and check in this updated bookmap. Now we are ready to start publishing. We do that by selecting the Publication Builder tool. This brings up a simple menu where we can make the choices we want for publishing. We can select an output format. In this case, we'll take high-resolution PDF. We can select a style sheet from a palette of available styles. We've selected the Scarecrow typeface. We'll click OK. And in the background, the system assembles all of the components in the bookmap and runs it through our embedded composition tool, creating a PDF book using the style sheet that I selected. We click on the PDF file to preview it, and you can see that it has come up including the cover art. And if we navigate to Chapter 1, you'll see the changes that I made in the Word document have been included. And you'll also notice that the system automatically substituted the high-res image. Now, if we want to publish the same book with a different style sheet, very simple to do. We go back to the bookmap, we launch the Publication Builder again. This time, we will select the Chapter Notes Big style sheet and publish again to PDF high resolution. It will go through exactly the same process, assemble the components in the bookmap in the correct order, feed it to the embedded composition system, and the system will now typeset the pages according to the rules of the new style sheet, and you'll see that you get another PDF file that looks quite different in terms of how it is laid out inside of the book. And again, because we selected the high resolution PDF option, it automatically substituted the high resolution image. Now that we've shown you how to publish print PDF books from the DocZone system, let's focus on producing eBooks. One of the advantages that eBooks provides over print PDF is the ability to incorporate multimedia elements into the finished product. In this example, we will be importing a film clip of Alice chasing the rabbit down the rabbit hole into the system to be able to facilitate a delivery of a multimedia ebook. While we're waiting for the film clip to be imported into DocZone, we will add some of the descriptive metadata to support searching for this film clip later. When the file has finished importing into DocZone, click on the Add button to see the file in the repository. Now let's go and add a link to that film clip inside of Chapter 1. We'll launch our XML editor. We'll turn the tags on so that you can see the XML markup. We'll go to the appropriate location in the book where we want the film clip to appear, and we will select the option to insert movie. This brings up a window that will allow us to navigate to the folder that contains the movie file. And then we'll do a search. In this case, we'll search for all MP4 files that are in this particular folder. It comes back with the film clip that we just imported. You'll see that it has inserted a link to that file. We will now enter in a required XML element for a title for this film clip. Once we're done with this task, we can save the XML document, close out the editor, and check in the updated XML chapter. Now we're ready to publish the book to EPUB format. It goes through the same process. We'll select the publication builder. This time we'll select EPUB as our output format and click OK. In the background, the system goes through a very similar process. It compiles all of the chapters in the book map in the correct order and transforms that into an EPUB file. Once the EPUB file is finished, we can click on it to save it out and open it up in the iBooks application. When we open the book up in iBooks, you'll see the cover art, and the pages are now composed in a nice ebook compatible format. If we scroll back, you'll see that it has substituted the low-res version of the image, and the video clip is inserted right below. DocZone is bundled with a professional translation management system and supports over 200 languages. As an example of this, we are going to translate Chapter 1 of this book into Japanese. This book has not been translated yet, so we are going to check the Japanese target language. Once a target language has been selected, the Translate button becomes enabled. In this case, for this demonstration, the content has already been pre-translated, but this is the type of tool that a translator would use to log in and translate the content sentence by sentence. Because this is a translation memory system, any sentences that have been previously translated are already in the memory and are automatically substituted. This new sentence I added has not been translated in the past, so a translator can now type in the Japanese equivalent and check in the updated translation of this chapter. Now we have a Japanese version of Chapter 1 of Alice in Wonderland. We can now go and publish an ebook again. This time we will select EPUB as our destination, but we will select Japanese as the target language. When we click on OK, the system will now go through the same process, composing all of the chapters. If it finds a Japanese version of a chapter, it will automatically substitute it. So the resulting ebook will now have a Japanese Chapter 1. And open the new file in iBooks. Notice that this time, Chapter 1 is in Japanese, and the system has automatically substituted the Japanese variant of the art. For more information about the DocZone cloud-based solution for automated book production, please send email to info@cytexsolutions.com.